looking for a new leader. The city of Aurora down to the final two for their police chief opening. What's next as the candidates are in town? CU fighting back against sexual misconduct. The town hall happening tonight and the college's message to students. Plus, it sounds like a movie. NASA preps to crash a spacecraft into an asteroid on purpose. The mission all in the name of planetary protection. Thanks so much for joining us here on Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. The Aurora Police Department is facing serious issues, all of which have been well documented and many of which are ongoing. Everything from the continued fallout from the death of Elijah McClain to a consent decree to fix issues of use of force and interactions with people of color, staffing issues along with hiring challenges and more. That's what the city's next police chief will inherit, and the final candidates for that job are in town. Denver 7's Brandon Richard has more on the search for the new leader entering its next phase.
Well, the person who's ultimately chosen to be Aurora's next police chief will take over a department facing a lot of problems and one that's under enormous scrutiny right now. Now, over the next 3 days, the finalists will have an opportunity to explain how they would begin addressing all of those issues. And we are down to just 2 finalists now after a third candidate withdrew their name from consideration last week. Those 2 finalists are Scott Ebner and David Franklin. Ebner has spent 27 years with the New Jersey State Police. Franklin is chief of staff of the Albuquerque Police Department. Now, if one of them is selected as the new chief, they'll take over a department plagued by problems and under a consent decree following the death of Elijah McClain in police custody. Last year, Colorado's Attorney General found APD engaged in racially biased policing as well as excessive force. And you can see how that would be a problem in a city as diverse as Aurora, where people of color make up more than half of the city's population. In April, city officials fired Police Chief Vanessa Wilson after just 2 years for failing to effectively manage the department and build morale. Now, today, the 2 men hoping to replace her will tour the police department sites and meet with employees. Tomorrow, they'll answer questions before a community panel, meet with faith and business leaders, and hold a meet and greet with citizens. And on Wednesday, the mayor and members of the city council will have an opportunity to speak with those 2 finalists, along with other city officials. And city leaders here in Aurora are hoping to hire a new police chief by the end of this year. Reporting in Aurora, Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Now, today's interviews and community appearances come after a deadly weekend in Aurora. 2 men were shot Sunday morning at a shopping center on South Chambers. One of them died. The other is hospitalized with serious injuries. No one has been arrested here. And Aurora police shot and killed a suspected car thief. It happened Saturday on East Alameda, just over the city limits into Denver. Denver's acting police chief says the Aurora officers pulled over a car with 2 people inside. One ran and then pointed a gun at police, who then shot him. The other man stayed in the car and was arrested. CU Boulder is fighting back against sexual misconduct. It's holding a town hall meeting tonight on that issue. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta has more on the school's message and actions to stop that kind of crime.
More than a month since a student was sexually assaulted in her home at Williams Village North, the university here in Boulder is going to be hosting a town hall, and it's specifically going to be hosting this town hall to go ahead and introduce this new task force. This is a group of people who are going to be looking at sexual assault misconduct data from years past, also looking at the practices and interventions across the school. We spoke with a school official about this task force just weeks ago. She told us the school has got to be able to not only increase reporting, but also decrease how often these kind of crimes are happening. We know the Office of Institutional Equity and Compliance, as well as the Office of Victim Assistance, are going to have staff at this meeting. And this all comes just 4 days after the U.S. Department of Justice announced the Office of Violence Against Women is going to be awarding more than $10 million in grants to schools across the country to help reduce sexual assaults there. As far as the town hall goes, we know it's going to start at 4 this afternoon. It's going to be inside of the university's Memorial Center. In Boulder, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
We are getting new video showing the scary moments an RTD train went off the tracks in Aurora last week. Take a look. As that train approaches the corner, you can see the two front cars tilt and then completely come off the tracks, while the other two swing around and then come to a stop at a diagonal. 3 people were taken to the hospital Wednesday as a result of this. RTD tells us that this is an active investigation. They continue to tell us that, and they have not given us an official cause just yet. Denver's airport could break a record this year for the number of firearms confiscated there by the TSA. Agents have found 110 guns in X-ray screenings in carry-on bags so far. Now, Denverite reports that's a rate of about 12 confiscations per month, putting TSA on track to take in 146 guns by the end of the year. 141 were found at DIA in all of 2021. That rise in firearms at the airport aligns with a nationwide rise in gun sales. Now, for some context here, the new figures track guns in carry-on luggage. Transporting firearms in checked baggage is legal as long as the weapons are unloaded, packed in a locked, hard-sided case, and declared during the check-in process. Well, the White House wants to make airline travel more transparent. President Biden is expected to propose a new rule calling on the travel industry to be more upfront about how customers are being charged for baggage, cancellations, and flight changes. White House officials say the plan could require travel sites and airlines to disclose any of those possible additional fees. They also say Biden will stress the importance of travelers being able to see exactly how much their tickets will cost. A group of oil drillers become astronauts. They land on an asteroid to try to basically blow it up and redirect it away from hitting Earth. Yeah, that's the plot of the late 90s movie Armageddon, one of my personal favorites, especially the soundtrack. Well, this afternoon, NASA is going to try something like that in real life. So this is the DART spacecraft that was launched last November. Tonight, it's going to crash into an asteroid on purpose, and several CU scientists will be watching closely.
We don't have a good understanding of what the structure of the asteroid is like. And so we're going to run something into it, but we don't know, is it going to make a little crater? Is it going to make a big crater? Is it going to, completely reshape the asteroid, or just, make a little dimple in it?
Hopefully more than just a dimple. So why do this? Well, scientists like Associate Professor Jay McMahon hope to learn more about asteroids, but there's also a safety component.
NASA's actually got a whole planetary defense coordination office which worked with other agencies to identify the potential asteroid threats to Earth. And we don't have any imminent danger. We don't think that there's an asteroid that's coming to Earth right now, but we're watching out for him. And with this test, we're actually working on practical ways where if we saw an asteroid coming, we might be able to redirect it.
Like the Boy Scouts say, be prepared. Now, impact is scheduled for 5:14 Mountain Time. DART has a live streaming camera on board, so we should see the impact live. There's also a smaller Cube satellite following DART that will send more pictures back in the coming weeks. To the Caribbean now, where Ian has strengthened into a Category 1 hurricane. Forecasters expect it to rapidly intensify into an even stronger storm before hitting Florida. But there's still a lot of uncertainty on where it will hit and how strong it will be when it does. ABC's Morgan Norwood shows you the preps happening now in Tampa.
Ian has the potential to bring in some pretty dangerous storm surge levels. We're talking up to 10 feet. And that's why officials here in Florida are urging everyone to prepare as quickly as they can. Ian swelling to hurricane status and charging toward Cuba with the potential to become a major hurricane as soon as today. Residents in Florida keeping a cautious eye. Governor Ron DeSantis declaring a state of emergency for the entire state.
Floridians up and down the Gulf Coast should feel the impacts of this as up to 36 hours before actual landfall due to the size of the hurricane.
Many wasting no time gathering supplies and making preparations.
Just make sure I'm self-sufficient for a while because I know electricity is going to go out. And I'll be fine.
Though forecasters are unsure where exactly Ian will make landfall, all agree the storm will lash large sections of the state with heavy rains, whipping winds, and fierce flooding. ABC's Rob Marciano explains.
This is Tampa Bay, a massive body of water that spans 30 miles to the Gulf of Mexico. Only 11 feet deep. With the right wind, that water gets pushed up the bay, piling up until it reaches downtown and has nowhere else to go. flooding the core of the city.
And it's why homeowners are boarding up and why Jose Lugo is filling sandbags. He just helped his parents prepare in Puerto Rico for Hurricane Fiona, and now he's doing the same for Ian.
And now I'm here helping myself and everybody else that I can.
And while Floridians look to shield themselves from Ian's impact, Canadians are still reeling in the wake of Fiona's fury. Hundreds of thousands still without power and homes and businesses destroyed.
But right now, the priority right now is getting power back to people, getting people a safe shelter, getting some return to normal.
And more than 2,500 Florida National Guard members have been called in ahead of the storm. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden authorizing and declaring an emergency, asking FEMA to start coordinating disaster relief. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Tampa.
Still to come here on Denver 7 News, Amazon is jumping into the holiday season early this year with hundreds of thousands of deals. Where to look and when the early access sale kicks in. And it wasn't pretty at all, but a win is a win. The Broncos pulling out the W against the 49ers. What to make of this team 3 weeks in with the Raiders next up.